The battlefield situation in the Kharkiv region in eastern Ukraine is difficult, but Ukrainian forces are repelling Russian attacks and have regained some territory in the east in the past week, Kyiv said on Monday. The Ukrainian military said last week Russian forces, who began their full-scale invasion in February 2022, were attacking near Kupiansk, a town in the Kharkiv region. The situation in the Kupiansk direction is difficult. The enemy is not abandoning plans to move forward, the enemy is pulling up additional forces, Deputy Defense Minister Hanna Maliar told national television on Monday. We are confident in our defenders, but it is very difficult for them there and the enemy is not advancing there. Maliar said Ukrainian forces were advancing south of Bakhmut, a city in the Donetsk region that was captured by Russian forces in May after months of fighting, and had regained 3 square km (1.16 square miles) in the past week. Reuters was not able to verify the reports. Maliar said there had been no significant changes in the situation in the south, where Ukrainian forces are trying to split Russian forces and reach the Sea of Azov. In a later post on the Telegram messaging app, Maliar said Ukrainian troops had success southeast of the village of Robotyne and south of Mala Tokmachka in the southeastern region of Zaporizhia, but gave no details. She said Russian troops had tried unsuccessfully to take back lost positions east of Robotyne. We should not underestimate the enemy, Maliar said. We should all be patient and support our armed forces. Ukraine said last week it had made gains in the southeast, pushing forward from the village of Urozhine, but a U.S. official said Ukrainian forces did not appear likely to reach and retake the strategic southeastern city of Melitopol in their counteroffensive launched in early June. Russians advance near 3 settlements, General Staff report. The Russians are advancing near Klashivka, Marinka and Novomykhylivka in Donetsk Oblast, while the armed forces of Ukraine continue to advance on the Melitopol front and consolidate their positions. Source: General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. Details: during the day, the occupiers launched 2 missile and more than 30 airstrikes, fired 35 times from MLRSs at the positions of our troops in populated areas. More than 20 combat clashes took place over the day. Over the course of the day, the Air Force of Ukraine's defense forces carried out 6 strikes on areas of concentration of occupiers' personnel. Ukraine's rocket forces and artillery struck 4 Russian control points, 1 area of concentration of personnel, weapons and military equipment, and 3 artillery systems at firing positions over the course of the day. The operational situation on the Volyn and Polishcha fronts remained unchanged. On the Severshchina and Slobozhanshchina fronts, the Russians carried out mortar and artillery bombardments of more than 20 settlements, including Klyasy and Karpovichy in Chernihiv Oblast, Sidorivka, Volfin, Rybovsky in Sumy Oblast, in Chervona Zorya, Veterinarn, Kozaka Lopan and Streleka in Kharkiv Oblast. On the Kupiansk front, the settlements of Vorokna, Sinkivka, Kyslivka and Berestov in Kharkiv Oblast came under artillery and mortar bombardments. On the Lyman front, the Russians conducted airstrikes in the areas of Tverdoklobo, Bilohorivka and Serebryanka Forest in Luhansk Oblast. About 15 settlements came under artillery fire, including Karmazinivka, Nevsky, Kremina, Bilohorivka in Luhansk Oblast, Rozdalivka and Spern in Donetsk Oblast. On the Bakhmut front, the occupiers conducted unsuccessful offensive actions in the area of Klashivka, Donetsk Oblast. They launched an airstrike near Vesel, Donetsk Oblast. More than 20 settlements came under artillery shelling, including Privolya, Orikovo-Vasilivka, Marko, Bodanivka, Chasev Yar, Klashivka in Donetsk Oblast. On the Avdiivka front, the settlements of Oleksandropol, Stepov, Avdiivka, Sievert, Pervomaysk and Nevelsky, Donetsk Oblast, were shelled with artillery. On the Marinka front, Ukrainian defense forces continue to hold back the advance of Russian troops in the area of Marinka and Novomykhylivka in Donetsk Oblast. The occupiers conducted airstrikes in the areas of Marinka and Novomykhylivka. The settlements of Zelandruhe, Krasnohorivka, Marinka, Pobeda, Yelizavetivka and Novomykhylivka in Donetsk Oblast came under artillery fire. On the Shakhtarsk front, the Russian forces conducted an airstrike near Staromayorsk, Donetsk Oblast. Vuhledar, Prekostivka, Novokranka, Vlika Novosilka, Lahodatna and Urozhine in Donetsk Oblast came under artillery fire. On the Zaporizhia front, the occupiers conducted airstrikes in the areas of Mala-Tokhmichka and Robotyne in Zaporizhia Oblast. Their artillery shelling damaged more than 30 settlements, including Guliapilsky, Charivny, Yahorivka, Stepo, Lobkov and Pietikaki in Zaporizhia Oblast. On the Kherson front, the Russians conducted airstrikes near Dachi and Zymivnik in Kherson Oblast. More than 20 settlements came under artillery shelling of the occupiers, including Poniativka, Kherson, Stanislav in Kherson Oblast, Oshakiv and Solinchaki in Mykolaiv Oblast. At the same time, the Ukrainian Defense Forces continue to conduct the offensive operation on the Melitopol front, consolidating their positions and carrying out counter-battery operations. Russian occupation forces continue to actively steal from and abuse civilians. For example, their unit from the Republic of Buryatia of the Russian Federation arrived in Tokhmek, Zaporizhia Oblast. Members of this unit systematically check local residents for papers proving the right to live in their homes. If they find that there are no such documents, they take away all property and housing under the guise of confiscation, and physically abuse the outraged local residents. 2 injured in Ukrainian drone attack in Moscow region, nearly 50 flights disrupted. At least 2 people were injured on Monday when parts of a Ukrainian drone destroyed by Russian air defenses fell on a house in the Moscow region, the regional governor said. Nearly 50 plane flights in and out of the capital were disrupted after Russia said it jammed a Ukrainian drone in the Russky district west of the capital and destroyed another one in the Istrinsky district nearby. Arrivals and departures from Moscow's 4 main airports, Vnukovo, Domodedovo, Sheremetyevo and Zhukovsky, were restricted, disrupting 45 passenger planes and 2 cargo planes, Russian aviation authority Rosaviatsia said. Russian officials have repeatedly cautioned that military drones flying over Moscow, which along with its surrounding region has a population of nearly 22 million people, could cause a major disaster. Separately, the Russian Defense Ministry said it had downed a drone in the Belgorod region bordering Ukraine, while the governor of Kaluga region, south of Moscow, said a drone had also been repelled there. No damage was reported in either attack. Drone airstrikes deep inside Russia have increased since 2 drones were destroyed over the Kremlin in early May. Drone strikes on the Russian capital have become increasingly common in recent months. It is unclear what impact the drone attacks will have on perceptions of the war among the Russian population. Polling indicates support for the Russian military operation in Ukraine remains high, around 75%, though there are questions over how accurate polling is in Russia. Ukraine typically does not comment on who is behind attacks on Russian territory, although officials have publicly expressed satisfaction over them.